Why do you search for what is already yours? Why do you chase after the very thing that is waiting for you to claim it? The greatest illusion in this world is the belief that you must go out and find your blessings, that you must struggle, strive, and seek in order to receive. But this is not the way of true creation. The moment a desire is born within you, it is proof that what you seek already exists. You would not hunger for something that was not already prepared. The longing in your heart is not a sign of absence, but an invitation to assume its presence. But what do most people do? They look outward, searching for confirmation, for signs, for proof that what they want is on its way. In doing so, they place themselves in a state of waiting, in a state of lack, in a state of separation from their own desire. To look is to doubt. To seek is to affirm that you do not have. And what you affirm, you continue to experience. If you spend your days asking, where is it? When will it come? You are unknowingly declaring, it is not here. And so it remains unseen, lingering just beyond reach, because you refuse to claim it. You do not receive what you want. You receive what you are. And what you are is determined by the state you occupy. There is no power in searching. There is no power in hoping. Power lies in the acceptance that it is already done. This is the only way to bring it forth from the unseen into the seen, from the invisible into the visible. The world you experience is a reflection of your inner state. If you see yourself as lacking, as unemployed, as waiting for an opportunity, then this will be the reality mirrored back to you. But the moment you assume the feeling of already being what you wish to be, the moment you occupy that state with unwavering conviction, the world will rearrange itself to match your assumption. This is the law of life. Everything follows consciousness. If you believe yourself to be poor, no amount of effort will bring you wealth. If you see yourself as struggling, no amount of searching will bring you ease. Your outer world is only a projection of your inner world. Nothing comes from the outside. All is drawn from within. Think of a person who desperately seeks employment. He sends out applications. He prays for opportunities. He asks others for help, yet nothing changes. Why? Because within him he still identifies as unemployed. His every action, though well-intended, is tainted by an inner belief in lack. His search is not an expression of confidence, but of fear. And as long as that fear dominates his consciousness, he will remain exactly where he is. Now imagine another man. He does not seek, he does not beg, he does not worry. He knows. He walks through life as though he is already employed, as though he is already successful. He carries himself with the quiet confidence of one who has already received. He prepares for his work, speaks as though it is already his, acts as though his future is certain, and without effort the world conforms to this assumption. Opportunities appear, doors open, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. This is not chance, this is law. You do not receive according to what you want, but according to what you expect, not with your words, not with your efforts, but with your state of being. You must abandon the old man, the one who seeks, who hopes, who pleads, and step into the new man, the one who simply knows. Do not waste another moment searching for what is already yours. Stop looking outward. Stop waiting for confirmation. Stop placing your faith in things outside of you. Be still and know. Assume that you are already what you desire to be and persist in that knowing. Let the world do what it must. Let circumstances shift and change, but do not waver. What you assume to be true must become your experience. If you truly understood this, you would never struggle again. You would never chase after success, after wealth, after opportunities. You would simply claim them as yours and allow them to unfold in perfect order. There is nothing to find, there is only something to become. And once you become it, the world must reflect it. So I ask you again, why do you search for what is already yours? The world around you is not a random collection of events and circumstances. It is a mirror, a reflection of what you are internally. What you see in your life is the outer expression of your inner state, your beliefs, your assumptions, and the thoughts you continuously entertain. If you want to change what is happening in your life, you must first change how you see yourself and the assumptions you hold. The idea that you must search for your desires for success or for opportunities is based on a misunderstanding of how life works. The truth is, you are not meant to chase after what you want. You are meant to become what you desire. The key to transforming your world lies not in seeking, but in assuming. When you seek something, you are subconsciously acknowledging its absence. If you believe that something is out of reach, then your mind will continue to reflect that belief by keeping it out of your experience. Seeking is a passive act, filled with doubt and uncertainty. It creates a gap between you and your desire, making it seem as though you must reach for it, struggle for it, or wait for it to come to you. But the truth is that everything you need is already within you. There is no need to search. The only thing required is to assume the feeling of already having it. You must begin to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. The world operates on the principle of assumption. What you assume to be true about yourself and your life will eventually materialize in your experience. The universe, or whatever you choose to call it, responds to your assumptions. If you assume you are successful, abundant, and worthy, then the world must reflect those assumptions. If you assume you are unsuccessful, limited, or unworthy, that will also be reflected in your life. Your reality is shaped by the mental state you occupy. It is essential to understand that the inner world precedes the outer world. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. The external world is simply a reflection of the inner world, the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions that you hold within your consciousness. If you are constantly thinking of lack, of limitations, of things you do not have, then you will continue to experience a reality filled with those things. The first step in changing your life is to stop searching and start assuming. Assumption is not simply pretending or wishful thinking. It is a powerful act of faith. When you assume the feeling of already having your desire, you are aligning your inner state with the outer reality you wish to create. You are closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The moment you assume the feeling of having your desire, you are aligning with the creative power of the universe. Everything around you will begin to conform to that assumption. The universe does not question your assumption, it simply responds to it. Take a moment and think about something you truly desire. Now, imagine that you already have it. How does it feel? What would your life look like if this desire were already fulfilled? How would you walk, talk, and think if you were already the person who has achieved what you seek? That feeling, that state of being is the key to transformation. You must live in the end result. Most people get stuck in the cycle of trying to change their circumstances through effort and action. They believe that by doing more, they can force their desires into reality. But true change comes from within. It comes from assuming the end result and living from that place. This does not mean that you will not take action or that things will not unfold in the physical world. But your actions will be guided by the assumption of already having, and they will be far more effective than any action taken from a place of doubt or uncertainty. The power of assumption lies in the fact that it bypasses the need for external validation. You no longer need to look for signs that what you desire is coming. You no longer need to search for confirmation or proof that things are working. The moment you assume that it is already done, you begin to shape your reality accordingly. You are no longer waiting for the world to change for you. You are creating your world through your inner state. You might wonder, how long will it take for my assumptions to manifest in the world? The answer is simple: as long as it takes for you to believe it. The more firmly you assume the feeling of having your desire, the quicker it will appear. But the key is to persist in that assumption, regardless of what appears in the outer world. The outer world is a reflection of your inner world, and it must change to match your assumptions. When you stop seeking and start assuming, you will find that life becomes easier, more fulfilling, and more aligned with your true desires. No longer will you be caught in the trap of chasing after things that are already yours. You will know that your reality is shaped by your thoughts, and you will begin to see the evidence of your assumptions unfolding in your life. The most important thing to remember is this: the universe responds to your assumptions. It does not matter what your current circumstances are. It does not matter how long you have been waiting. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the universe begins to adjust itself to bring that assumption to fruition. You are the creator of your own reality, and everything you need is already within you. Stop seeking and start assuming. The world will respond to you accordingly. What you experience in life is not random. It is a reflection of your inner world. The world around you is a mirror, reflecting back to you the assumptions, beliefs, and thoughts that you consistently hold in your consciousness. The key to understanding how to transform your life lies in this simple truth: you do not attract what you want, you attract what you believe you are. If you want to change what is happening in your life, you must first change what you believe about yourself and your place in the world. The concept of self-worth is deeply tied to everything you experience. If you see yourself as deserving of wealth, success, love, or any other good thing, then that is what you will receive. But if deep down you feel unworthy, undeserving, or incapable, that is what will manifest in your life. Your beliefs about who you are will shape your reality in ways you may not even be consciously aware of. Take a moment to think about the beliefs you hold about yourself. What do you believe you are capable of? What do you believe you deserve? How do you view your worth in relation to others and in relation to the universe? If you believe that you are worthy of success, love, and abundance, then these things will naturally come into your experience. If, on the other hand, you feel unworthy, or that success is something that others achieve, then you will remain stuck in that pattern. Your world will reflect that belief. The truth is, your worth is not determined by external circumstances. It is not based on how much money you have, what position you hold in society, or what others think of you. Your worth is inherent. It is built into you as part of the very fabric of your being. You are worthy of everything you desire because you are part of the creative force that shapes the universe. Once you recognize this truth and accept it, your life will begin to change. To change your life, you must begin by changing your concept of yourself. The key to manifestation lies in the state of mind you occupy. The world around you reflects the beliefs you hold about yourself. If you continue to see yourself as limited, as someone who must struggle, or as someone who is not worthy of success, then that is what will manifest. But the moment you decide to change your self-permission, to step into a new state of being, your external world must change to reflect that. This is not a process of wishing or hoping. It is a process of becoming. To become something different, you must assume the feeling of already being that person. If you want to be successful, you must assume the feeling of already being successful. If you want to be abundant, you must assume the feeling of already being abundant. You must live as if your desires have already been fulfilled, and the world will respond accordingly. Most people spend their lives wishing for something to happen, hoping that circumstances will change. But this approach is backward. You do not need to wait for the outside world to change before you change your inner state. In fact, waiting for things to change is an act of resistance, a refusal to accept the truth that everything begins within you. The moment you change your internal state, your external world must shift to reflect that change. Imagine a person who has always seen himself as unsuccessful. He has tried time and time again to achieve his goals, but nothing ever seems to work out. He believes that success is something that others achieve, but not him. His belief in his own lack of success becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. He is trapped in a cycle of failure because his internal belief system does not support his desire for success. Now imagine that same person, but this time he begins to change his self-concept. He begins to see himself as successful. He assumes the feeling of already being successful, and he persists in that assumption. Even when things do not seem to be going his way, he continues to live as though he is already successful. He no longer identifies with failure, and as a result, his circumstances begin to change. Opportunities that once eluded him now appear. He finds new ways to succeed, and his world begins to reflect the success he has assumed. The difference between these two scenarios is the internal belief. The first person remains stuck because he believes he is unworthy of success, and that belief shapes his reality. The second person transforms his life by changing his belief about who he is and living from that new identity. This is the power of assumption, and it is the key to transforming your life. It is important to understand that the concept of self-worth is not tied to external validation. It is not about how others see you or how much recognition you receive from the world. Your worth is inherent, and it is determined by the way you see yourself. Once you begin to see yourself as worthy of success, abundance, love, and all the good things life has to offer, those things will naturally flow to you. You are a creator, and you have the power to shape your own reality. But this power is only activated when you recognize your own worth and step into the role of the person who already has what you desire. If you continue to see yourself as lacking, as someone who is unworthy of success or abundance, that is what the universe will reflect. But when you recognize that you are worthy of all the good things you desire, and when you assume the feeling of already having them, the world will respond in kind. To change your life, you must first change your self-concept. You must begin to see yourself as the person who already has what you desire. You must live from the assumption that you are worthy of everything you wish to receive. And as you do, the universe will align itself to bring those desires into your experience. The power to create your reality lies within you, and it begins with recognizing your inherent worth. Once you do, everything you desire will begin to flow into your life. You are not a passive observer of your life. You are the creator of your reality, and your inner world holds the key to everything you experience. The concept of manifestation is not just a vague notion or wishful thinking. It is a precise law that governs the way life unfolds. What you have in your life today is a result of what you have assumed in the past. Your thoughts, beliefs, and internal states are constantly shaping your reality. And the secret to creating the life you desire lies in your ability to live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Too many people spend their lives waiting for something to happen, looking for external circumstances to change before they take action. But this is not the way of creation. Waiting for the world to change first is a backward way of thinking. The truth is, the world does not change until you do. It is not the circumstances that shape you, it is the way you respond to those circumstances that determines your life. You must first change within, and the world around you must follow. The key to creating your desired reality is not found in effort, action, or struggle. It is found in assuming the feeling of already having what you desire. The moment you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, the universe must respond. The world does not act according to your words or your actions alone. It acts in alignment with your assumptions. If you assume that you are successful, abundant, and worthy, your outer world must begin to reflect that assumption. If you assume that you are unsuccessful, lacking, or unworthy, that is the reality that will continue to unfold for you. Imagine a person who desires to be successful in business. They have a goal in mind, but they feel uncertain about their ability to achieve it. They think, if only I could get that opportunity, then I could succeed. However, they continue to see themselves as lacking, as someone who needs external circumstances to change in order to succeed. This person is always looking outward, waiting for a sign, waiting for validation from the world. They are caught in the trap of seeking rather than assuming. And because they are constantly in a state of wanting and waiting, they perpetuate the very lack they desire to escape. Now imagine another person who has the same desire for success, but this person understands the law of assumption. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change, they begin by changing their inner state. They assume the feeling of already being successful, of already having achieved their goals. They live as though their success is a present reality, not a future possibility. They feel the confidence, the joy, the peace that comes with success, and they persist in that feeling regardless of external appearances. This person does not wait for the world to change. They create their reality by assuming the end result and living from that state. The difference between these two individuals is not their desires, but their approach to manifestation. One person waits for the world to align with their desires, while the other person creates the world by aligning their internal state with their desires. The law of assumption dictates that what you assume to be true must manifest. It is not a question of if, but of when the assumption will materialize. This principle works because the universe is always responding to the state of consciousness you occupy. Your thoughts and beliefs are vibrations that send out signals into the world, and the world responds by matching those signals. If you are constantly thinking about what you do not have, if you are focused on lack and limitation, the universe must respond by giving you more of the same. But if you shift your focus, if you begin to assume that you already have everything you desire, the universe must respond in kind. The secret is to live in the end result. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a temporary exercise or something you do only when you are feeling inspired. It must become your state of being, your natural mode of existence. You must live as though your desires have already been realized, and you must do so consistently. This is not about pretending or fantasizing. It is about understanding the law of assumption and aligning yourself with the truth of who you are. When you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you are not simply using your imagination. You are connecting with the creative power within you that shapes reality. You are tapping into the infinite potential of the universe and directing it toward your desires. This power is available to you at all times, but it can only be accessed when you align yourself with the state of having. The moment you assume that you already have what you want, you enter into harmony with this creative power, and the universe begins to work on your behalf. Consider a person who desires to find a loving relationship. Instead of focusing on what is missing, instead of searching for someone to complete them, they begin to assume the feeling of already being in a loving, fulfilling relationship. They act as if they are already loved, as if their perfect partner is already in their life. They feel the love, the joy, the security that comes with being in a beautiful relationship, and they live in that state. As a result, the world responds by bringing that relationship into their experience. You see, the world does not give you what you want. The world gives you what you are. The universe mirrors back to you the state of consciousness you occupy. If you occupy the state of lack, you will continue to experience lack. If you occupy the state of abundance, the world will reflect abundance. The power is in your hands to change your life. The only question is, what state of being will you choose to occupy? To truly create your reality, you must live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not just occasionally, but persistently. You must align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the assumption that your desires are already a part of your life. The moment you do this, the world will begin to shift in your favor. The universe will rearrange itself to bring you the opportunities, people, and circumstances that align with your new state of being. This is the secret to creating the life you desire. It is not about waiting, not about looking for something outside of you. It is about assuming, about becoming the person who already has what they desire. When you do this, everything in your life will begin to fall into place. The power is within you, and the world will respond to the state of consciousness you choose to occupy. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your external world has power over you. We often find ourselves blaming circumstances, other people, or the state of the world for our own lack of fulfillment, success, or happiness. We point to our job, our relationships, our bank account, or the events happening around us as reasons why things aren't as we wish them to be. But here's the truth that many overlook. Nothing outside of you has the power to change your reality until you decide to change your inner world. Everything you experience in your life is a direct result of your internal state, the beliefs, thoughts, and assumptions you consistently hold. Most people believe that change must first come from external circumstances. We are conditioned to believe that our job, our relationships, our financial situation, or the events happening in the world are the determining factors in our lives. But in reality, these things are just reflections. Your outer world is nothing more than a mirror that reflects your internal state. The circumstances you see before you are simply a projection of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and the world. If you want to change anything in your life, you must begin by changing your inner world. The secret is to stop waiting for the world to change before you change. Instead, change your state of mind first, and the outer world must follow. Too many people make the mistake of thinking that they must struggle or work hard to change their circumstances. They believe that they must fix everything in the outside world before they can feel happy, fulfilled, or successful. But that is not how life works. Your outer world is a reflection of the inner assumptions you hold. If you believe that success is something you must work hard for and wait for, that will be your reality. If you believe that opportunities are limited and that they come to only a select few, that will also be your reality. You are constantly projecting your beliefs onto the world around you, and the world is simply responding. It is not the world that needs to change. It is your beliefs that need to shift. Think about the times when you felt frustrated or stuck. You may have looked at your current circumstances and thought, this is just the way things are. But what if I told you that your current circumstances are not the final truth of who you are? They are simply temporary reflections of past assumptions. When you assume a new belief, a new state of being, the world must reflect that. Change happens not by waiting for something outside of you to shift, but by deciding that you are going to live from a new inner state. Let's say you want a better job. You may find yourself searching endlessly for opportunities, sending out resumes and hoping that someone will recognize your value. But if deep down you believe that you are not qualified or that opportunities are scarce, that is exactly what you will continue to experience. No matter how many resumes you send out, no matter how hard you search, nothing will change because your internal belief system hasn't shifted. You are still operating from the assumption of lack. But if you were to shift your internal state, if you began to assume that the job you want is already yours, that you are already successful, that you are qualified and deserving of every opportunity, everything would begin to change. The world will start to reflect your new assumptions. The key is to realize that you are not a passive observer of your life. You are an active participant, and your thoughts and beliefs are constantly shaping your reality. The moment you change your assumptions and beliefs about yourself and your life, the outer world must change to align with that new internal state. Your life is not determined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. If you continue to respond to your circumstances as though they are permanent and unchangeable, they will remain so. But when you change your response, when you live from the assumption that you are already the person you wish to be, the universe will respond in kind. This is not some abstract concept or wishful thinking. It is a law, a principle of creation that governs everything in your life. Everything you have, everything you experience is the result of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and the world. If you are stuck in a cycle of lack or frustration, it is not because the world is against you. It is because you are living from the assumption of lack. If you are experiencing abundance, joy, and success, it is because you are living from the assumption that those things are already yours. The power to change your life is within you at all times. But in order to activate that power, you must begin by changing your beliefs and assumptions. You must stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start recognizing that you are the creator of your own reality. The world responds to you, not the other way around. Once you understand this, you will no longer waste time waiting for things to change. Instead, you will know that by changing your inner state, the world must inevitably change to reflect that. This may sound simple, but it requires discipline and persistence. The world you see around you is the result of years of assumptions and beliefs, and it takes time for the new assumptions to fully manifest. But you must trust in the process. You must have faith that as you persist in living from the state of your wish fulfilled, the world will adjust to meet your new reality. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are the one doing the changing. And once you begin to change, everything else must follow. Your life is yours to create. You are not a passive participant in the unfolding of your reality. The circumstances of your life are a reflection of your inner state, and you have the power to change them by changing your beliefs and assumptions. Stop waiting for things to change on the outside. Begin with yourself, and the world will adjust accordingly. The moment you change within, the universe must reflect that change. We often find ourselves in situations where we desire change, but feel powerless to achieve it. We look at the world and the circumstances around us, thinking that our conditions are the determining factors in our lives. We focus on the problems and feel overwhelmed by them, believing that we are at the mercy of our current reality. But this is a misconception. Your external circumstances are not the cause of your limitations. They are the reflection of your inner state. When you learn to change your internal world, everything in your external world must follow suit. The truth is, the key to transforming your life lies not in struggling with the outer conditions, but in mastering the inner world of your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. The way the world responds to you is based on the assumptions you consistently hold. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, and every assumption you make shapes your reality. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are constantly creating your world through the way you think and feel. This means that if you want to change the conditions of your life, the place to start is within. External circumstances are not the cause of your experience. They are the effect of what you have assumed to be true. One of the most powerful truths you can embrace is that your assumptions are the building blocks of your reality. When you assume a certain belief about yourself or the world, the universe has no choice but to reflect that assumption back to you. If you assume that you are successful, worthy, and capable, those qualities will manifest in your life. If you assume that you are unlucky, unsuccessful, or undeserving, those qualities will also show up. The law is not concerned with whether your assumptions are positive or negative. It simply reflects whatever you assume to be true. Consider the idea of wealth, for example. Many people struggle with the belief that wealth is difficult to obtain or that it is only available to a select few. They may look at their financial situation and feel trapped in a cycle of lack, believing that no matter what they do, they will never be wealthy. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because they hold the assumption that they are not worthy or capable of attracting wealth, their external circumstances align with that belief. Opportunity seems scarce, and they continue to struggle to make ends meet. But what if, instead of focusing on what they lack, they shifted their assumptions? What if they began to assume that wealth was already theirs? What if they lived from the assumption that financial abundance was their natural state? The moment they shift that internal state, the world would begin to reflect that change. New opportunities would appear, and the flow of money would increase. The universe operates on the law of assumption, and it cannot help but bring into reality the assumptions you hold. This principle applies to every area of life, not just wealth. If you believe that you are deserving of love, you will attract loving relationships into your life. If you believe that you are worthy of success, you will find ways to succeed. If you believe that you are capable of achieving your dreams, The universe will respond by aligning the circumstances to help you realize those dreams. The only thing standing in the way of your desires is your own assumptions about what is possible for you. The power of assumption works because your beliefs shape your perception of reality. You see the world not as it is, but as you believe it to be. If you hold the assumption that life is hard, that things never go your way, or that opportunities are limited, you will continue to see the world through that lens. But if you begin to assume that life is full of opportunities, that success is inevitable, and that you are worthy of all the good things life has to offer, you will start to see a different world. One that reflects those new beliefs. One of the most important things to understand about the power of assumption is that it is not about wishful thinking or hoping for things to change. It is about becoming the person who already has what they desire. It is not about waiting for something to happen. It is about stepping into the state of the wish fulfilled and living from that place. When you live from the assumption that you are already successful, already abundant, and already loved, the world must reflect that assumption back to you. The key is to feel as though your desires have already been realized, not as something you are waiting for, but as something you are currently experiencing. This process is not about forcing yourself to think positive thoughts or pretending that things are different than they are. It is about shifting your internal state to match the reality you wish to create. When you assume the feeling of already having your desires, you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. The moment you feel the joy, the satisfaction, and the certainty of having what you desire, the universe begins to bring it into your experience. One of the most powerful aspects of this process is that it works regardless of external circumstances. It does not matter what is happening in your life right now. Your current situation is not the determining factor. It is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you want to change your reality, you must change your assumptions. The moment you begin to live from the assumption that you are already the person who has what you desire, the world will begin to reflect that assumption. This is where many people get stuck. They focus too much on the how of things. They wonder how their desires will manifest or when they will see changes in their external circumstances. But the key to manifestation is not about figuring out the how. The how is not your concern. Your job is to live from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled. When you do this, the universe will handle the how. It will bring you the people, opportunities, and circumstances that align with your assumptions. You do not need to figure it out. Your job is simply to live as if it is already done. Your assumptions are the key to creating the life you desire. The world is a mirror that reflects your inner state, and the moment you change your assumptions, the world must respond. The law of assumption is always working in your life, whether you are conscious of it or not. The more you align your assumptions with the life you wish to create, the more your reality will shift to reflect that. You have the power to create the life you want by simply changing the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. The universe will always respond to your internal state, and that response will be the life you desire. There is a profound truth that governs the way we experience life, and that truth lies in the realization that your perception of the world is not dictated by external circumstances, but by your internal assumptions and beliefs. This principle is not just a philosophical idea, but a fundamental law of the universe, one that is always in operation whether we are aware of it or not. The way you see and interact with the world around you is shaped entirely by the assumptions you hold about it, and these assumptions directly influence what you experience. If you believe that life is difficult, that success is hard to achieve, or that opportunities are few, your external circumstances will continually confirm these beliefs. If, on the other hand, you adopt the assumption that success is natural for you, that the world is full of opportunities, and that all your desires are already on their way, the universe must respond by bringing these experiences into your life This principle works because the universe operates in perfect harmony with the state of mind you maintain. The universe does not discriminate between positive or negative assumptions. It simply reflects back to you what you believe to be true. If you assume that you are capable and deserving of success, the universe will bring experiences and people that align with this belief. If you assume that you are destined for failure or lack, the world will reflect that back to you. The world around you is merely a mirror, and it cannot help but reflect the state of consciousness you occupy. Most people live their lives without understanding the power of assumption. They may have desires, hopes, and dreams, but they spend most of their time focusing on the external world, trying to change the conditions they are facing. They look to their job, their relationships, or their financial situation as if these external conditions are the causes of their happiness or unhappiness. But in truth, these circumstances are simply a reflection of the assumptions they hold. The power to change their circumstances lies within them, not in the outside world. To truly create the life you want, you must first understand that your assumptions are the key to unlocking the doors to the life you desire. The assumptions you hold about your own worth, about the world around you, and about the possibilities available to you shape your experiences. You cannot create a new reality without first changing your inner beliefs. It is impossible to expect the world to change if you continue to live from the same state of mind that created your current circumstances. The first step in this process is to recognize that your assumptions are the driving force behind your experiences. If you want to change your life, you must change the assumptions you hold. This does not mean simply wishing for things to be different. It means fully embodying the feeling of already having what you desire and living from that state. This is the essence of the law of assumption. To live as if your desires have already been fulfilled and to persist in that assumption until the outer world begins to reflect that reality. Many people struggle with this concept because they are conditioned to think that they must first see results before they can believe in the possibility of success. They want to see the evidence in their external world before they allow themselves to believe that their desires can be realized. But this is backwards. The key to manifestation is not waiting for the world to change. It is changing your inner state first, and the world must follow. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe. The universe does not work based on logic or reason. It works based on the feeling of your assumption. The moment you fully embrace the feeling of already having what you desire, the universe must bring that reality into being. It does not matter how impossible or unlikely it seems in the physical world. When you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the world will shift to align with your assumption. Think of a person who desires a new job. They may look at their current situation and feel frustrated because they have not yet found the opportunity they are seeking. They may focus on the lack of a job, the competition, or the obstacles in their way. But these thoughts are rooted in the assumption that they do not have the job they want. Instead of focusing on the job itself, they must shift their assumption to the feeling of already having the perfect job. They must live as if they are already employed in the ideal position, feeling the satisfaction, the security, and the joy that comes with it. As they persist in this assumption, the universe must respond by aligning the circumstances to bring that job into their life. The challenge for most people is to remain faithful to their assumptions in the face of contrary evidence. The world may not immediately reflect the assumptions you are making, and this can be discouraging. But this is where the real power lies, in your persistence and unwavering faith in the unseen. You must continue to live from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, regardless of what your physical circumstances may suggest. When you do this, the universe will eventually respond, bringing your desires into being in ways that you could not have anticipated. This is not a quick fix solution or a magic formula. It requires consistent effort and trust in the process. The moment you begin to change your assumptions, the world will begin to shift. But it takes time for the new assumptions to fully manifest. The important thing is to continue to live from the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when there is no immediate evidence of change. The more you persist in this state, the more the external world will change to reflect your new reality. Your reality is a reflection of your internal state. If you want to change your world, change your assumptions. Start living as if the life you desire is already yours, and the world will have no choice but to mirror that assumption back to you. The law of assumption is always at work, whether you are aware of it or not. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the universe must respond in kind. The power to change your life is not outside of you. It lies within the assumptions you hold about yourself and the world around you. We live in a world that is constantly shifting, constantly changing, yet most people feel that they are trapped in a cycle of repetition. Unable to break free from the patterns of their past, it often feels as if we are at the mercy of forces outside of our control, whether it's our jobs, our relationships, or our financial situations. We tend to believe that these external factors shape our lives and determine our future. But this belief is rooted in misunderstanding. The truth is that the world you experience is not determined by external circumstances. It is determined by your inner world, the assumptions and beliefs you hold about yourself and the world. Your life is not a random sequence of events. It is the result of the thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs you hold consistently. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, and every assumption you make about the world shapes your reality. The conditions you see around you, no matter how challenging or difficult they may seem, are simply the reflections of your inner state. If you change your internal state, your beliefs and assumptions, the external world must reflect that change. The reality you experience is directly linked to the way you perceive yourself and the world around you. The most important truth you must understand is that your assumptions create your reality. Your assumptions are the key to unlocking the life you desire. If you believe that success is hard to achieve, if you believe that opportunities are limited, or if you believe that you are not worthy of happiness and fulfillment, then that will be your experience. Your reality will continue to reflect those assumptions. But if you choose to change those assumptions, if you choose to live from the belief that success is easy, that opportunities are abundant, and that you are deserving of every good thing, the world must reflect that back to you. This is not a matter of wishful thinking or hoping for things to be different. It is about a fundamental shift in your state of consciousness. It is about changing the way you see the world, changing the way you see yourself, and stepping into the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled. When you begin to live from the assumption that your desires are already a reality, the universe must align itself to bring those desires into your experience. The law is simple. What you assume to be true will be true for you. Many people struggle with this concept because they are conditioned to think that they must see results before they can believe that their desires are possible. They look at their current circumstances and allow those circumstances to dictate their beliefs. They believe that because they don't see what they want in their external world, it must not be possible for them. But this way of thinking is backwards. The external world is not the cause of your desires. It is the effect of your assumptions. If you want to change your life, you must begin by changing your assumptions about what is possible for you. Think about the way a person might feel when they are looking for a job. They may send out resumes, go to interviews, and try everything they can to find the right opportunity. But if they are living from the assumption that good jobs are scarce, or that they are not qualified enough, their efforts will be in vain. This is because their assumption about their ability to find a job is out of alignment with their desire. The key to manifesting their ideal job is not in their actions, but in their assumption. They must assume that the job they desire is already theirs, that they are qualified, capable, and deserving of that position. Once they step into that assumption, The universe will rearrange circumstances to bring them the job they have assumed is already theirs. The same applies to any other area of life. If you desire to improve your health, for example, but you constantly assume that you are not capable of achieving a healthy body, or that it's too difficult to make lasting changes, your external health will reflect that assumption. However, when you shift your assumption to the belief that you are healthy, strong, and capable of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, the universe must respond by bringing those experiences into your life. The external world can only reflect the inner state of your assumptions. If you believe that health is natural and easy for you, you will begin to experience better health. One of the most important aspects of this process is persistence. It is not enough to simply make a new assumption once and expect immediate results. The world does not instantly reflect your new state of mind. The assumption must be persistent, unwavering. You must live from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, even when the external world continues to reflect your old assumptions. This is where many people fall short. They give up too soon when they don't see immediate changes in their external circumstances. But the key to manifestation is staying faithful to your assumption, no matter what. The universe operates on the law of assumption. It is not concerned with how things appear or how long it takes for your desires to manifest. The law is simply that what you assume to be true will be true for you. When you live from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, the universe must respond by bringing those desires into your life. The time it takes for this to happen will vary, but you must trust in the process and continue to live from the assumption that your desires are already on their way. It is also important to understand that you are not waiting for something to happen in the future. You are living from the assumption that it has already happened. Your assumption creates your reality now, in the present moment. The future is simply the result of the assumptions you hold today. When you assume that your desires are already fulfilled, you are not waiting for them to come. You are already living in the state of having them. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the universe must bring it into your experience. The power to change your life lies within you. Your assumptions are the key to unlocking the life you desire. The world around you is a reflection of your inner state, and the moment you change your assumptions, the world must follow. If you want to change your reality, you must begin by changing your beliefs and assumptions. The law of assumption is always at work, and the world will always reflect the state of mind you occupy. The life you desire is already yours, waiting to be revealed through the power of your assumptions. The truth that underlies every aspect of your life is simple, yet profound. Your reality is a reflection of your inner state, shaped by the assumptions and beliefs you hold. Everything you experience, every circumstance you encounter, and every opportunity that comes your way is a result of the assumptions you consistently entertain about yourself and the world around you. Whether you are aware of it or not, the law of assumption is always at work, and your life unfolds according to the beliefs and thoughts you maintain. When you begin to shift your assumptions, living as if your desires are already fulfilled, the external world must align itself with that inner state. It's not about waiting for the world to change first. It's about changing your perception and living from the belief that your desires are already realized. The universe is a mirror, reflecting back to you the truth you believe to be true. By consciously adopting new assumptions, whether about your success, health, relationships, or wealth, you begin to transform not just your mindset, but the very conditions of your life. This process requires faith and persistence, as it is not about forcing results or trying to manipulate the external world. Instead, it's about aligning your inner world with the life you wish to create. When you truly embody the feeling of having what you desire, the universe will respond. Your assumptions will create the world you envision. The power to change your life lies within you, and it begins with your assumptions. Your thoughts shape your reality, and the moment you change your assumptions, the world must shift to reflect that change. By consistently living from the assumption that your desires are already fulfilled, you are opening the door to infinite possibilities. The world responds to the state of mind you occupy. And the more you persist in this new way of thinking, the more your external circumstances will change. Remember, the key to transformation lies within you. The power to create the life you desire is not in your circumstances, but in your assumptions. So begin today. Assume the life you wish to live, and the world will follow.